Thank you for watching us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and other important aspects of working for yourself, being self-employed, running a small business. So today I'm going to talk about what to do if you are unable to pay your self-assessment tax liability. But before I do, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to this information if you should need to, as well as being able to access other information that we have on a whole host of different topics, all aimed at supporting you in your self-employment. So back then to what to do if you're not able to pay your self-assessment tax liability. So the first thing to say is don't panic if you do find yourself in this scenario. And secondly, it's important, even if you're not able to make the payment, to still ensure that your tax return is submitted on time and that the liability is known. So there sometimes people think that if they don't submit the tax return, and so therefore HMRC don't know the liability, that will somehow help them. But unfortunately, this has the opposite effect, as the penalty system will penalise you separately for late submission of your return and late payments. So therefore, if you don't submit your return and you don't make the payment, then at some point you're going to have to submit that return. And depending when you do that will depend on the late submission penalty, but then you will be penalised for the late payment as well. So it won't make things any harder for you, but it will ensure that you're going to avoid any late submission penalties. But you're also showing HMRC that you are actually trying to keep on top of your responsibilities as a taxpayer. So it is really important to still submit the return. So as I mentioned when I was talking about that, there are penalties for late payment as well as interest on overdue payments. So the next thing to say is to contact HMRC. Now, of course, the later to the deadline that you leave it, the longer you're likely to have to wait to get through. But if you can organise a payment plan with HMRC before the payment's due, then this will reduce the penalties that you receive. Now, in order to make a payment, a time to pay payment, a payment plan, a payment arrangement, all means the same thing. What we're effectively saying is that you're going to make installments for your tax to be able to pay that liability that you owe. If you have a personal tax account on gov.uk, then depending on the amount, you may be able to set the payment plan within there. The important thing to remember is, just like if somebody owed you money, HMRC will expect you to have firstly to have looked at other ways that you could make the payments. So whether you could borrow the money, whether you have sort of other money available that you could access, and if those avenues have been explored and you're not able to make the payment still, then they will have expected you to look at your regular income and expenditure, and from that to be able to give them an indication of how much you anticipate being able to pay on a regular basis, weekly or monthly, depending on how you manage your finances. So generally speaking, if you have a good payment and compliance record, and you have found yourself in a sort of sticky cash flow patch, and the tax is going to be paid within a reasonable timescale, then it's likely that HMRC will be happy to agree that and to support you. And as I say, as long as you come to that agreement before the payment liability is due, so before the deadline, then you will still receive, you still will incur interest charges on that overdue payment. But that will mean that you will avoid some of the penalties, at least depending on the timescales. So hopefully this helps to reassure you if you do have any problems making your payment. Please do still submit your tax return on time, and please do contact HMRC. Even if you're going to be able to pay relatively quickly, just just come to that arrangement with them, because once that's formalized, that does avoid penalties, which of course that only, if you're having difficulties, then that only exacerbates the problem to add penalties to that. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.